Hello, my name is Rogers Walker, and I'm an educator in the English language program at Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. Our school is located near the beach in beautiful California here in the United States. Today we're going to talk about using the simple present tense in English and ways that you can describe the routines in your life more clearly. To get started, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Sadie. She's going to tell you a little bit about her weekly routine. I'd like for you to listen to her describe the actions that she does each week.
Hi, my name is Sadie, and I'm a tutor and activities coordinator in the English program here at Middlebury Institute. I'd like to tell you about a typical week for me. So I work at the Middlebury Institute. I wake up at 7 a.m. I sleep late and don't wake up until about 7:30. I take a shower in the morning because it helps me wake up. I also drink a nice warm cup of coffee in the morning. On the weekdays, I eat cereal for breakfast. I skip breakfast because I'm running late. On the weekends, I sleep late and cook an omelet for breakfast. However, I go out to have breakfast at my favorite cafe here in Monterey.
Did anything seem unclear about her routine? If you're like me, it was a bit difficult to understand how often she does things during the week. Do you think you could try it again and be a little more specific about the things you do each week?
Sure. Let me give it another try. If you are listening at home, take out a pen and a piece of paper and try to write down what I do each week and how often I do it. So, during the week, I work at Middlebury Institute. I usually wake up at 7 a.m., but sometimes I sleep late and don't wake up until about 7:30. I always take a nice shower in the morning because it helps me wake up. I also usually drink a nice warm cup of coffee in the morning. On the weekdays, I often eat cereal for breakfast, but I occasionally skip breakfast because I am running late. On the weekends, I often sleep late and cook an omelet for breakfast. However, I occasionally go out to have breakfast at my favorite cafes here in Monterey.
Cool, Sadie, that was much better. It made much more sense to me what a typical week for you is like. So, were you able to take notes on the different things that Sadie does during her week? Take a look at the slide and pause the video to check whether you got all the actions that Sadie does each week. Was it a little bit clearer this time how often she does things during her week? If it was, good, because it should have been. This is because Sadie used adverbs of frequency to describe her weekly routine. Take a look at the next slide and pay attention to the words on the chart. These words are what we refer to as adverbs of frequency. In English, we use the simple present tense to describe actions that we perform as part of our routine. But sometimes that does not provide enough information for our listener. We need to be more specific about how often we do something. For example, if I say that I always drink coffee in the morning, it means that every morning I drink coffee. Another way to understand this idea is to say that I drink coffee 100% of my mornings. Adverbs of frequency are usually placed directly in front of the main verb of the sentence. Look at the next slide. Can you match the percentages with the adverbs of frequency that they relate to? The first one has been completed for you. Keep in mind that the percentages are not exact or perfect. This is only meant to be a helpful way to think about the frequency that is related to a particular word. Okay, so take a look at the next slide. How did you do? Now I'd like for you to listen to Sadie talk to you again about her routine, only this time she is not going to use any adverbs of frequency. After each sentence, you will be given a short quiz that will let you pick the appropriate adverb of frequency for the situation that Sadie describes.
I prefer to watch movies at home on my sofa because it's cheaper and more comfortable than going to a theater. So I only go to watch movies in a movie theater about twice a year. I am only willing to go to the theater to watch movies that I really want to see.
Okay, look at the question in the next slide and pick the sentence that clearly communicates how often Sadie goes to the movie theater. Okay, let's try one more. Sadie, are you ready for the last example?
Of course. Okay, so as you know, we're really lucky to live in Monterey because the weather is great most of the year and the beach is just a few minutes walk from school. I would say that last month, I probably went to the beach at least once every week.
Okay, look at the question in the next slide and pick the sentence that expresses best how often Sadie visits the beach. So, how did you do? Now, I would like to pause a moment for you to try to remember everything that you have learned so far. Research shows that students learn information best if they immediately try to recall as much information as possible soon after learning something. So, take out a pen and try to write down as much as you can remember of what we've discussed today. Try to remember as many of the adverbs that we have learned and try to remember where they are placed in sentences. Okay, so were you able to remember a lot? That's okay if you couldn't. Just by trying to recall what you learned, you're helping your brain form memories.
So, let's review what you wrote down. Did you remember that adverbs of frequency help us understand how often we perform actions? Did you remember the different adverbs of frequency that we learned and the percentages related to them? Did you also recall that adverbs of frequency are often placed directly before the main verb in a sentence?
If you did remember all of this, that's great. But if you didn't, don't worry. As a teacher once told me, learning is about regular practice with enthusiasm over time. So I hope you frequently practice what you learned today, and I hope to see you in a future video.